Manchester United are once again in a position this summer where they are desperate for a rebuild. Everyone seems to be aware of that, including, fortunately, Ineos. And apparently they are willing to have a net spend of up to £100 million this summer. Now, just to clarify, that doesn't mean United can only spend £100 million. For example, if we were to sell £150 million worth of assets, plus the £100 million, that gives us £250 million to spend. Of course, finances are more complicated than that. You've got contracts, etc. But as a kind of blanket way of looking at it, we are going today to look at some players which United could sell to then raise some money to bring in a new squad. And in the second half of the video, we will be looking at the new squad you could bring in. In fact, 2 different transfer windows you could have this summer. So we will start off with players that Manchester United could be looking to sell. And to be honest, there's quite a lot of them. Casemiro, for a starter. Probably time for him to go. He has fallen off drastically this season, got much worse than what he was last year. He's on a big contract. It's just time to move him on. It just feels right to do so. You could argue the same for Harry Maguire as well. Now, in the case of Harry Maguire, it might feel a little bit harsh because he has been so good this season. And those that have been around the channel for a long time will know that I am a massive fan of his. In his worst days, I was still the one supporting him. I think he's quality. But he's getting to that age now where he is getting on a bit in terms of the direction I think Ineos want to take the club on the pitch. I'm not sure Maguire fits it. I think it's time to move him on. So I could see him leaving this summer. Another player who I could see leaving this summer would be Jadon Sancho. Of course, especially if Ten Hag is still at the club, I just don't think that Sancho has a future anymore. It hasn't really gone very well for him at Manchester United since his move. United would of course have to take a massive loss, but it's still money coming into the club which could be spent this summer. It's the same case for Mason Greenwood as well. I'm not going to go into it because I don't think I need to, basically. Sell Mason Greenwood this summer. You probably get, what, £25–30 million for him. That is money which can be spent elsewhere. There is, though, also some more fringe players, if you like, which you could sell this summer. For example, Donny van de Beek. Again, another player where it just hasn't worked for him at Manchester United. Probably time to move him on. Facundo Pellistri would be another one. Not really ever worked. Hasn't reached his potential. Doesn't even look close to ever reaching his potential. Just move him on. Hannibal Mejbri could be another one as well. Maybe you only get £5 million for him, but move him on this summer. Christian Eriksen, another player who looked really good last season, but was always only really a short-term signing due to his age. Physically, we've seen how much he struggles, but even mentally, he seems a little bit slow for the Premier League game at the moment. The amount of times you see him take his time on the ball, he gets the ball robbed off him, and puts us into a really bad position. I think it's time for Christian Eriksen to go as well this summer. And then on top of that, you've got some of our fullbacks which are currently at different clubs. Brandon Williams at Ipswich will probably be worth something this summer, and also Alvaro Fernandez, who is currently at Benfica. I don't think I see him coming back to Manchester United and really blossoming into a great player, so I think United could move him on this summer. If you move all of these guys on, you're looking at, I would say, around £144 million coming into the club. If we go on the lower end, if you like, you know, the lower scale, Maguire, for example, probably 25 million, that could go as high as 40. So that gives United £144 million to spend this summer, plus the £100 million net spend. So basically, we've got £244 million to try and spend to fix this Manchester United squad. We can't do it all in one window, of course, because these things take time. But you can go a long way to fixing this 11, which I don't have on screen, this 11 here. And what I really want to focus on for today is fixing the spine of this team, right down the centre of the pitch in terms of the starting 11 quality, but also the depth options which we have from the bench. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. So as I said earlier, the main area I would like to address in this United team is the spine of the side. What's the reason for that? It's the most important part of the pitch. All of the great Manchester United sides have had a great spine. From goalkeeper to centre-back to central midfielders, and perhaps to a 10 and then to the striker. It's one of the most important areas on the pitch. It's literally the spine of the team, the hub of the team. You need to be strong. Not only in terms of starting 11, but also in terms of the depth options from the bench. Now, there's some players I've got my eye on for this. One would be Todibo. What would he cost? Probably £35 million. You could bring him into this United side and instantly improve the quality and to an extent the spine of the side. Let's quickly bring him into the starting 11 over here. Let's say Varane leaves, freeing up wages. Todibo comes into the starting 11. We also need, though, a backup right centre-back, because I want to get rid of the days where we change centre-back and it completely changes our tactics. Let's try and get as close to like for like as possible. So why not get Tosin Adarabioyo on a free transfer? We have, quote, solved our right centre-back issue for £35 million plus wages. That's pretty cheap. We also need to fit the problem at left centre-back as well. Lisandro Martinez, obviously a quality player, but injury prone at the moment it seems. And the issue is when he comes out of the side, we have no one to replace him. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I think Lukumi could be a brilliant option. Again, we're looking at £25 to £30 million. So we have fixed our centre-back department for £65 million. That gives us a lot of money still to spend elsewhere. So I really like this idea. There are other options that you could go for as well though. You could take Todibo out, you could take Lukumi out. Let's have a look at someone like Tapsoba. Someone we haven't spoken about on the channel so much, currently playing forward by Leverkusen. He's a brilliant defender, a brilliant centre-back. He can play on the ball, carrying out from the back, progressive with his passing, but defensively athletic, tall and strong. He could be the perfect player to play this role. Again, I'd probably keep Tosin as the backup. And then left centre-back. How about someone like Calafiori? Another Bologna player. A player who can play left centre-back but also left-back. And I do think this is important, versatile players. Yes, I want to strengthen the spine, but this is a United squad which has gaps all over the pitch. To try and fill them, a player who can play a couple of roles could be really useful. So again, this is another window I could see happening. You could go for Calafiori and Tapsoba, or you could go for Todibo and Lukumi, either side of Tosin Adarabioyo. I like it a lot. Now we need to move into midfield, because as we've said already, we're getting rid of Casemiro. Thanks for what you've done, mate, but it's time to move you on. Who could United go for in this area? For me, there's two standout options. One would be Amadou Onana. We've spoken about him quite a lot, I would say, in the past. He's a really good player, and what I want to do essentially with this signing is raise the physical floor of the midfield. I think he's an absolutely brilliant player to do that. Physically one of the best in the Premier League, one of the best duel winners, whether that be on the ground or in the air. He's just absolutely brilliant, but I also think technically he's really underrated. And if we combine that with a back line which can suddenly have a bit more pace about it, can press a little bit higher, Onana's perfect for that pressing football. Again, winning his battles all over the park. I really like the idea of it. Probably sets you back around £60 to £65 million. The most expensive transfer I am going to recommend. But there is another option, a slightly cheaper option. Of course you don't get exactly the same thing, but you still get a quality player. Humland from Sporting, another very good player. Slightly different to Onana, but still a ball-winning midfielder. Someone who covers ground reasonably well, granted not as well as Onana. And in possession, very safe, very technically secure, and I think he's improving his passing range and also his ability to dictate a game. I like it as a signing. In terms of what that would mean for someone like Kobbie Mainoo and his backup, you'd probably look for Mason Mount to come into the side and be that backup to Kobbie Mainoo. But we do still need a backup for our sixth position, and I've got another two options. I like the look of Archie Gray from Leeds. We've spoken about this recently. I think he's a quality player and a signing that I would love to see, but perhaps a little bit unlikely. Someone who could come in for about £25 million instead, Youssouf Fofana from Monaco. Again, a quality ball-winning midfielder. Technically very good on the ball. Again, a good passer, a good ball carrier. And then out of possession, a workhorse. Very strong, physical, powerful, covers a lot of ground, and wins the ball back well for his side. In terms of depth, if we have Fofana as the backup to Onana, for example, that is quality. Then we come towards these more forward areas, and again the aim for this video is to rebuild the spine of the team. I want two good players for each position. We've also got to of course consider though, not everyone can play all the time, so we do need players who might be content on the bench, and that is why I would be extremely tempted to keep Scott McTominay as a Bruno Fernandes backup. I'm very aware this isn't like for like, but in the attacking third I don't think it's so important. Having something different from the bench, someone who can affect the play in the box, is really useful. We know physically and mentally McTominay drives the standards in training, and I still think he can be a very useful player for this United side. The other thing also is, with a big injury now, which sees him probably missing the Euros in the summer, I think it's quite difficult to sell him. Because, you know, who wants to take the risk on a player with that bad an injury? So I would probably keep Scott McTominay, but I think we've really raised the floor of our midfield. Technically, we've got the Kobbie Mainoo, Mason Mount, who can, you know, come in for each other. I think that's quality. And then we've got Onana and Fofana, or it could be Archie Gray or Humland. There's a few different options. And then in the 10, Bruno Fernandes and Scott McTominay. Slightly different options, but hard workers who want to play for this badge. And then to finish the spine, we come to the striker position, where, to be honest, I don't want to replace Rasmus Højlund. I think he's so good. But what I do want is someone who can bring some of the same strengths in terms of physically, being a strong player, being a tall player as well and an annoying presence, but perhaps technically offering something a little bit different. Someone who comes towards the ball a little bit more, wants to link the play, use that aspect of the game. Joshua Zirkzee. I think he's the one for me. Now, I'm going to watch him more and scout him a little bit further before I fully commit to saying we should sign him. But in general, I think he looks a really good player, and he is someone, if I was United, I would be looking at. And if we go through the spine of our team here, we have drastically improved it. We have drastically improved the spine of our team. We've made, 6 signings here? But I think it's very, very doable. We are still well within our budget. We would still have other money to spend, perhaps on a right winger or a left winger, depending on where you see the future of Garnacho, perhaps a right back, a left back, whatever. But you can improve the spine of this team this summer with a bit of smart recruitment. Take advantage of the fact that Fofana only has 12 months left on his contract. Take advantage of the fact that someone like Tosin Adarabioyo is a free transfer this summer. Bring them in on the lower wages. Someone like Todibo, much lower wages than Rafael Varane. Zirkzee, another player who would not demand massive wages. I think it's a really cost-effective way of United dragging this team up and basically turning us into a better football team, which is what I think we all want moving forward. So in terms of, can United have a really good summer this year with just a £100 million net spend? The answer is absolutely yes, because the first time in a few years we have assets to sell. And also hopefully we have the right people above the club, high up the club, to lead the recruitment in the right direction to make the right sort of signings to replace them. So overall, I am very optimistic going into this summer. I think some people saw that £100 million budget and got a little bit scared. Ultimately, it's actually much more than £100 million because of the sales we can make. So yeah, I'm confident, I'm excited, I think you guys should be as well. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Who should we sell? Do you agree with that list that I came up with at the start? And who do you think we should sign? Like I said, I almost created 2 different teams there. One looking a bit like this, and then the other one looking a bit more like this. Let me know which team you would actually prefer to see next season. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.